This is my wife, my first wife. I may have another one later on, but she's my first wife.
How old are you currently, and how many years have you been married?
59 will be, in June 12th, will be 60 years.
How could we be married
The
60
same
years? I'm
person.
40. I'm 59.
That's a long time.
Got 2 children, 1 girl, 1 boy, and we have 4 grandkids, 1 girl and 3 boys. We should have 7 or 8 grandkids, but our kids were too lazy. They didn't want to do it. Because we deserve more grandkids than
We
that.
we met across the street from each other.
Well, our fathers came from Italy. Both of our mothers were born here, right? But our fathers were born in Italy, Bari, Italy. Okay.
Not my father,
Not with your-
Palermo.
Right, Palermo.
So they came to the United States, my father and his brother Paul, and my grandfather. His mother was deceased. She died in Italy. She had, I don't know what they used to have, plague or something. So and I'm named after her, and she never made it here. And then my grandfather settled in Utica, New York, because other people were here. You know, his relatives, which I wish they had gone someplace else, because you know the weather here.
What toys did you have when you were?
We didn't have toys.
Yeah.
I had one doll,
Uh-huh.
and my uncle got it for me when he was in the service. My sister had a doll. We didn't have toys. We used to play
We had a bike.
library, my sister and I.
My
And
brother
we
and
had this stamper and stuff. We made up our things.
We lived on Elizabeth Street. And
I
it
didn't know
was,
him then.
there's 4 or 5 apartments in that building. And there was no heat in the rooms. The kitchen stove heated the
Supposed to
place.
heat the whole house.
So
Really?
when we went to bed, we had about 7 or 8 blankets on, because there's no heat in those rooms.
No tub.
No tub. The bathroom just had a toilet and a sink. My father used to have to go to the Y to take a shower. I don't know why.
We
my mother-
were lucky. We had
I don't
a
know why my mother used to.
we
They
had
didn't have that.
we had a
Okay.
hot water tank in the bathroom and a tub. So I was better off than him.
Right. You had a better place than we did.
Then Sarah moved in.
Ours was tough. And it was but we were young, and we used to go outside a lot in the summertime. In the wintertime we did too. We used to dress pretty good. And I used to have a pea coat all the time back then. I used to have a pea coat all the time.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, you did.
Peacoat.
Well, I did. Because peacoats are warm.
Just like now.
I know. So at any rate, the apartment we had, as I said, had no heat in it, and the basement had a cellar. It had a basement in it, but there was a dirt floor. And my brother and I almost set the house on fire one time.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, we went downstairs, and sometimes the lights didn't work. So there was we lit a candle, went downstairs, and we almost set the place on fire. It happened to be a guy that my mother knew was visiting, and she told him about it. He went downstairs and put it out, because we used to heat by oil. And there was a big 55-gallon drum of oil in the basement, and my job was to go downstairs, and there was an oil can like this that fit on the stove. And I used to have to go down and fill that up with oil and bring it upstairs and put it into the stove, and that's what heated the house.
And we had coal.
They had coal.
Put it in the furnace. I didn't do it, but I mean,
But we almost set
father
fire
had to
on
do it.
it. Luckily we didn't.
Terrible.
Yeah.
You got the lives, kids, and the kids after you are going to have better lives.
How'd you first meet?
When we first met,
Well, my
I
father.
moved there 2 years before him. He came to the place. 'Cause
Yeah.
we had to get out of our place. We were on the 700 block of Lansing, and we came to the 400 block of Lansing because my uncle bought the house because these people were going to go in it, and they had to move out. I mean, we had to move out. And then I saw him across the street, but I didn't pay attention to
They
him.
bought the house.
I didn't really like him.
It was a dual house. It was a house that had two families in it, but it was one house. It just had a wall between them.
It's called the Twin House.
It's called a twin house, okay? And my Aunt Antoinette lived upstairs, and we lived downstairs, but
And the
our bedroom, my brother and my bedroom was upstairs.
Rotundos lived next door to us.
Yeah, Tony Rotundo, they were next door to us in their house, okay.
How old were you?
When he moved there,
Huh?
I think I was 12 and you were 13,
Yeah, about 13
Something
when
like that,
when
we
I
were.
first saw her.
something like that.
Anyway, we lived right across the street from each other. And then that's how come I got in trouble.
Trouble.
But it was
And
good.
he had Bobby Board as his best friend, and I had Cora.
Yeah, my brother was
Cora,
a friend.
she's
We
my
used
best
to
friend
go every-
since I was 2 years old.
We used to go every place together. In fact, we
That's
set up,
right.
we bought, they bought the house on Lancey Street. We set up a bed in the attic. There was no heat there. And sometimes we'd go up there and hang around and sleep up there and stuff like that.
Jump around, used to jump around.
Yeah.
Were you dating Pop when you
Yeah.
went into the service, and what was dating like?
Not serious though.
No, we weren't serious.
Not serious.
What does that mean?
Well, if saw somebody else, I would go out. Matter of fact, I went out with this guy that had a cheat code. It was a blind date.
She should have married him. No?
I have to disagree.
She's disagreeing with everything I say.
What did you do when Pop told you he was going into the service?
She didn't believe me.
I didn't believe him. He came to the school at lunchtime in Proctor, walks up, him and Bobby Board, and says to us, says to me, Bob's going in the Navy and I'm going in the Air Force. And what? I never did. I don't know.
She says, yeah,
Called me
yeah, right.
Off balance, 'cause I didn't remember. I didn't think he was going to do that, but that's what he did. He hated school, so.
Kind of romantic.
But then he had to go to school anyways when he was there,
That was something. Yeah.
right?
After basic training, they said, you gotta go to school. I said, go to school. I just quit school. I said, I'm gonna go again.
You're going again.
When did you first get married? How old were you guys? When did you guys decide to get married?
Well, he went to Japan, right? And when you came back, we got engaged in 1953. And then the following year, we got married in 54.
She wanted to marry, she wanted to get married because she was afraid something would take
He
her
wasn't
away.
he wasn't even 21. I thought they had a sign for him, right?
No, I was 21 though.
You were, but if you weren't, they had a sign
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. I was just 21.
And I was 20.
I didn't look it. But I was
Of course
21.
you can.
Mhm.
Still don't look it.
You never looked this age, right? Never.
What was the most memorable thing from your wedding? Something that happened
Memorable?
from your wedding day?
That I said I do.
My sister cried like.
Well, her sister was
paralyzed.
crying the whole time.
You can see it in those pictures. I don't know why. It just she cried like crazy. I don't know. Maybe she thought I was getting into. No, you know what it was? Because I didn't go like a honeymoon and come home. I just went, and I didn't come back for almost a year.
That cost me Germany. The time I came back, I was working at the base, and I found this note in my bunk to report to your orderly room. So I go to the orderly room, and it says, hey, you're lucky. I said, what happened? It says, you're going to go to Germany for 3 months. I said, you're kidding me. I said, which I wanted to do. And they says, yeah, you're going to go in about a week. I says, a week? I says, I'm getting married in a week. I says, everything's done. The arrangements are done. Everything's done. They rented the place.
You can imagine if you said I was.
And I
I
said,
wanted
so I
to get
said,
married.
can I get out of it?
You guys won't
They
do
said,
it.
I don't know. I said, well, so I came, I called her that night, and I says, can we get out, can you delay it? She said, how are you gonna delay it? Everything is done. They got the band picked, everything's paid for, right? So I went back to the orderly room, and I said, can I get out of it? Not going to Germany. They said, yeah, everybody's brother wants to go, they take your place. So they did let me go. I never did go to Germany.
And I think you regretted it.
We, brought her back to Kansas with me, and then she wanted to have she got pregnant with your mother, and brought her back here because she wanted to have the baby here.
Because it was too
And-
hot out there.
It was hot in Kansas.
Very hot.
We only had two rooms. We had a bedroom with a kitchen and a bathroom. And the
Oh,
kitchen,
that's
if she
small.
was standing at the sink, I couldn't walk by her. That's how small the kitchen was.
It had
It was small.
the table dropped down.
You had to drop the
Drop
kitchen,
the
the
table.
table down so you could walk by.
I said, what a lovely place.
And then I brought her home because she didn't want to have the baby out there. And I dropped her off and I came back to Kansas to finish up my tour of duty.
Noni, how did you feel about living in Kansas and leaving Kansas to give birth to Deborah?
I was happy because it was very hot over there and I couldn't stand it. But I didn't want to, leave Pop too, but I had to.
There's a lot of girls that wanted her to leave.
Oh. I don't know what else to say. He's always telling these stories. Will you stop doing that with that table, please? Right? You said to be yourself. Well, I was glad I was home. Well, I wanted him to be there, but he wasn't there when your mother was born.
He was there when Dad was
And,
born?
and Uncle Phil, they thought Uncle Phil was my husband. And he always has a soft spot for Debbie because he goes, they thought I was your father. And he came when she was born on the 8th of September and you came the 27th. That was his last day of being on at the base. In Kansas. So I went back to work to Teamsters. And my mother watched your mother till when she was only 14 months old. And I stayed till I was going to have Ricky. He came into our life in 1959.
Things were never the same after.
No, he was a good kid. Yeah, I
Waitress.
did waitress work when Uncle Ricky was a baby, and I hated it.
When she used to get tips.
Onion.
And she'd come home with the tips, and I didn't, she was tired, she'd get like 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And I used to
4 o'clock.
take some of her tips, and I got an envelope, and I put the tips in an envelope, and I taped them to the back of a mirror, so she didn't know it. And I was saving that money, and she didn't know how much I was
We bought a
taking.
couch with it.
And all of a sudden, she says, go buy a couch. I said, well, I got the money. She says, where's the money? And I said, it's in an envelope back there. I said,
You saved my tips.
I used to take your money from your tips, some of it, not all of it, and I put it in the envelope, and I saved up enough money to buy a couch.
We bought a couch,
I was working at the base.
and I quit working at Teamsters.
She quit to take care of him.
Yeah. And then I didn't go back till he was 6. And we had a dog, and my mother
They
had
had
a
a
dog.
dog, yeah.
And she had the Cocker Spaniel named Susie, and she would go underneath her bassinet and lay there. And they didn't want, they didn't want, she didn't want nobody touching her,
Like protecting her?
protecting her, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, she did.
Where the names Debbie and Ricky come from?
Well, I was gonna name her Donna Marie, and then I changed my mind. I liked Deborah Ann, and in those days, it was all Deborahs and a lot of Michelles. Everybody was named that. So I just named her Deborah Ann, and I wanted to name him,
After me.
your grandfather, John, wanted me to name him John. And I says, you had 2 boys, why didn't you name one of them, right? He had Russell John, and his name was Richard Cosmo, which I didn't like.
His name
Cosmo
was-
after his grandfather.
I wanted to name Ricky Cosmo.
I liked him.
Didn't
But I
really-
said to him, when we name him Richard, he's not gonna be called Dick or Dickie. I hated that. And I said, we're gonna call him Rick.
So his middle name was John, after my father.
Mhm.
What did you do when Mom first brought a guy home? How old was she and who was the guy?
Her first date?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that, but I do remember when she brought your father the first date. Yeah, they were,
And we thought it was funny because he didn't have no socks
and he didn't
on.
have no socks on.
Your father.
And your aunt bought a pair of snake shoes, $70-something she paid for them, and there was nothing there, just all straps, right? And he says to him, I don't know if you said it to her after, can he afford socks or something?
Yeah,
The first time he walked in the house, he didn't have socks on.
yeah, time flies.
Yep.
We should have had more kids though.
Do you have any regrets?
The worst times are when you lose somebody that you love.
Mm.
And I don't want to be morbid.
What was the happiest times of your lives?
When I had my children, when I saw your mother get married, when I saw my grandchildren. That's me, I don't know about you.
I haven't had one yet.
Isn't that one, yeah. Sorry about that. That's it.
So you're going to cancel your trip next year to Florida,
No.
and you're gonna stop gambling.
Is that supposed to be in there? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm not
How do you
gonna-
feel about that?
I feel that you're wrong. That's what I feel.
Wrong.
Quite wrong.
Quite wrong.
Well, I'm stopping, I don't gamble as much, but I'm not canceling my trip because this is our, I told him that's what I wanted to do for our 60th anniversary.
I heard you
Go
going
one
cold
more
turkey.
time.
Cold turkey.
What? If he doesn't stop doing what he's doing, I'm gonna slap him. Okay, now what?